One of the most deeply held beliefs in the dog world is this notion that it is possible to fully control a dog's behavior with training. However, there are multiple problems with this belief. Number one, even if we are charitable and we say that training can work to reduce unwanted behavior in dogs, which it certainly can to some extent, one problem we still have here is that well-trained dogs are a rarity these days. Furthermore, there is no guarantee that every person who gets a dog is going to bother with training at all, and many of them obviously don't. For all this talk of responsible dog ownership and all the rest of it, it seems to be getting more and more rare as well, just like dogs with owners who are willing to train them. Of course, when we consider the collective impact of dog ownership as a whole, we realize that responsible dog ownership is very much a misnomer. Arguably, no responsible person would choose to acquire a dog in a societal setting. But we are not nearly done. Number two. All this talk of responsible and irresponsible owners, or a dog's so-called upbringing, as though it were a person, and all the rest of it, well, none of this gets to the crux of it at all. Some time ago I had a very baffling and brief exchange with a dog nutter, whom, in hindsight, seems likely to have been deliberately trolling me. In a video I posted which had nothing to do with training, someone wrote to me that, and I quote,
"If you train your dog poorly, it will bite. Not anything to do with dogs."
End quote. That was the beginning and end of their statement. I'm still confused as to why they would ever suggest it has nothing to do with dogs. So I wrote back,
"If there were no dog involved at all, so no dog in the equation whatsoever, there would be no problem. There would be nothing to have to train to not violently attack unprovoked. That is what you have to do with a dog, because otherwise the dog will attack, obviously. So how in the hell does this have nothing to do with the very thing that's attacking of its own accord? You make no sense."
To this I was condescendingly told to reread their comment. Clearly the irony of them saying this to me, of all things, is completely lost on them. So I replied with the following.
"Yeah, no. That's my line, actually. After all, you are the one who needs to reread what I previously wrote, until you can comprehend it. I debunked what you said. The presence of the dog is the root cause of the problem. It is the dog's behavior, not anything else, that needs to be fixed. And if the way dogs behaved were not a problem, there would be no need to fix it."
And it was pretty much left at that. Now ponder the absurdity of this. Their assertion is that if one trains a dog poorly, it will bite. Of course, a dog's penchant for attacking other living things, as we know full well, has literally bugger all to do with whether it is trained or not. In the real world, both trained and untrained dogs attack people. But even still, it is the bloody dog, not a cabbage in the refrigerator or the owner's accountant, that is doing the biting. The dog is still the thing that needs to be manipulated in some way in order to not do this awful thing. And this can apply to many things, not just biting, aggression, maulings, and all the rest of it. What the dognut ideologue clearly cannot comprehend to save his life is something so incredibly simple that even a small child could understand it. If dogs were no part of the equation, there would be no problem. Certainly, no dog-related problems would exist, as dogs would be absent. And of course, those are precisely the problems we are focusing on, and which we wish to eliminate from society. They are caused by dogs, nothing else. A dog is comparable to a living weapon with a mind of its own, however limited and primitive that mind. The following is somehow completely lost on dog owners, who should be the ones most in touch with dogs and how dogs behave. Dogs have their own drives and motivations, and these are external to those of their owners. Dog defenders and owners seem to be the only ones who don't know this. So, we have yet another problem. Number 3. Try though you might, you can't control the mind or body of a dog. At the end of the day, a dog is going to do what it wants to do. A dog will ultimately do what it is compelled to by its own instincts, and you can't train a dog's instincts out of it. You can only ever condition it against its drives and instincts, e.g., to attack other living things. This is something Four-Legged Plague pointed out a long time ago, and as Defenders has long noted, you can't train a predator to not be a predator. And here, it is worth mentioning that dogs are so aberrant that it may well be something beyond instinct, and rather like a glitch or a defective drive, which compels such a creature to do what it does. This is something a subscriber recently suggested in a comment. Unfortunately, I cannot recall who said it at the moment, and I cannot locate their comment. But it is an interesting idea, that it is not even instinct with dogs, but rather something else altogether. Or perhaps it is the dog's instincts, and it's just that their instincts are totally dysfunctional. It's really a matter of semantics, I believe. All the same, the point stands, and the truth remains.